I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Sarah, and together we're the co-founders of Whale Tales, a living library of cetacean stories.
Today we're getting in the holiday spirit by celebrating all things beluga whale.
Yay! Plus, Nicole wrote a poem and some sustainable party ideas.
Before we get started, we wanted to let you know about our Patreon at patreon.com/whaletales. Patreon is a site where you can easily support projects like Whale Tales for as little as $1 a month. You'll get access to perks like an exclusive weekly newsletter and polls where you can help us decide on topics for the podcast. The support of our patrons really means so much to us and helps us run the website and this podcast. So sit back and enjoy as we dive right in.
All right, everybody. So why are we talking about belugas for the holidays?
I don't know. Why?
Because they live in the land of lots of snow and Santas. And yeah, that's why.
There's just something about them that, like, I don't know, I feel the Christmas spirit anytime I think about a beluga, and maybe it is just because they live in the Arctic, or it's because they're white, or I don't know what it is.
It must be a combo, because I don't feel that way about bowhead whales.
No, it's true.
No,
I don't either.
But I don't have a lot of feelings about bowhead whales, so, you know, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's true. They feel jolly. They feel jolly.
They do. They are very happy, smiley animals.
Yes.
Yes.
They feel jolly and wintry.
Yeah, yes.
That combo.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. That's probably what it is. So, in preparation for our holiday episode, we decided really there was no other option. We had to talk about belugas.
Our hands were tied.
So, Sarah, Lindsay, what are your feelings about belugas?
I'm a fan.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Me three.
I'm a fan.
I like them. They're squishy.
Yes. Yes. They are squishy and they look really weird and awkward, but then you see them actually underwater and they, like, their bodies make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that about them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Makes sense. I like all of their noises.
Yeah.
Yes.
They are known as the canaries of the sea because they sing, and they make, in fact, many different noises, and they are awesome. Which is probably a fair point or time to say that all three of us have just a little experience with belugas.
Mm-hmm.
This is true.
And that we know lots about them, and so this is probably episode 1 of many where we will talk about belugas.
Yeah.
Definitely. So today is kind of, again, in sort of the easy, laissez-faire time of the holidays when everyone's feeling fairly stressed. We didn't want to stress everybody out with this episode in terms of, like, learn everything about belugas right now. So this is just us talking about a species that we all love, and we'll kind of go over some of the intro facts about belugas and some of our favorite facts about them, and then probably in future episodes we will dive into more of the really, really cool research projects going on.
And talk about species that we hate.
There aren't any.
No. Spoiler alert.
I'm just trying really hard now to think of a cetacean species.
I don't know.
Those flippy little dolphins. No, I love dolphins, so I don't know. Sarah, can you tell us some of the fast facts to set the stage about this awesome species?
Yes. So, beluga whales live in the Arctic. They are large, mostly white whales. They have no dorsal fin, which is an unusual feature of cetaceans. Adults can weigh up to 1,900 kilograms. They can be up to 4.5 meters long, and females are about 80% of the size of males. So the males are slightly larger than the females.
Also slightly heavier, I would say, from experience.
Oh, yes.
They're, like, way fatter.
The males.
Well, yeah. The males are, like, probably 80% or, like, 20% longer and, like, maybe, like, 40% heavier at times
real
of the
big.
year.
Yeah. Real big.
Yeah, they get really chunky. They eat a huge variety of basically anything they can find. They eat fish and crustaceans, like all kinds of fish. They eat mollusks and crabs and worms and basically whatever they can find. They aren't super deep divers, but they have been known to go down to about 350 meters to feed.
Which is deep.
Mm-hmm.
It is deep, but it's not that deep in the world of cetaceans.
That's
and
true.
I would say A lot of the time of year, like especially through the summer, they're in more estuary shallow areas, so they don't have to go as deep.
It's person deep, not whale deep.
Yeah, true.
Yes,
true.
Yes. So, like I said, they live primarily in areas with Arctic sea ice. 2/3 of the world's population summers in Canadian waters. Yay. So they're super important in Canada. There are a few small populations found further south in the Arctic, basically relics from the last ice age. So there's a population in the St. Lawrence River estuary. Overall, there are 29 different subpopulations of beluga whales, some of which are in much better condition, like threat-wise, than others. There's about 150,000 whales in total. According to the IUCN Red List, they are listed as near threatened as a total species, but I would say that some populations, including the St. Lawrence ones, are in more trouble than that global status would imply.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we'll get into stuff like that in a future beluga episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, there's a lot we could just talk about the St. Lawrence, because they are unique in the beluga world.
Indeed.
But let's focus on Arctic, because it's the holidays and we're talking winter. Mm-hmm. So let's focus on their Arctic adaptations, because they are one of only 3 whale species that spend their entire lives, if they are an Arctic population, as opposed to those weird St. Lawrence ones. They spend their entire lives in the Arctic. Many species of cetacean go up to party in the Arctic during the summer for feeding purposes, but only the beluga whale, the narwhal, and the bowhead live there year-round because they are tough.
Yeah.
And
tough
they
whales.
Also have adaptations that help them with that. So, Lindsay, can you tell us about some of the beluga adaptations that help them live up with Santa?
Yeah. So, as Sarah said, they don't have a dorsal fin, but they do have a dorsal ridge. So, a dorsal ridge is good for breaking up loose sea ice when they're swimming around, looking for stuff. It's not going to break up any like big pack ice or anything, but it will help break up some of the smaller ice so they can move into other places to help find food. Another reason why they don't have a dorsal fin is that it helps keep their body warm, like less appendages. Helps keep the body warm and small, and just the blood flow is in the core body as opposed to appendages. They also have small flippers because of that. If you look at beluga whales compared to even something that's almost similar in size, like a killer whale, their pectoral flippers and their tail flippers are much smaller proportionally. They just have little round nubby knee kind of things. I'm doing a hand motion, but nobody can see me. It's fine. I'm just on my bedroom floor making beluga fin motions, but that's fine.
It's probably not the first time you've done that.
Probably not. So they're small flippers, and they're also really thin flippers. They have no blubber on them at all, and you can really, when you look at them up close, you can see their veins, which is really cool. And again, this is just to streamline their bodies so that they are keeping their blood and their warmth where it needs to be under all that blubber. They are very chunky animals, as Sarah said. And their blubber, they are an animal that uses blubber to keep them warm. Lots and lots and lots and lots of fat. And they're white.
How much fat, Lindsay?
No, I'm not doing it. I'm saving it for later.
Can I do it?
Yeah, you can do it.
Okay, if everybody makes the hang 10 symbol, wherever you are, wherever you're listening to this podcast, stretch your thumb and pinky as far away from each other as you can, and then stick your thumb up to your belly button. Where your pinky is how much blubber thickness you would have if you were a beluga whale.
Yes. Beluga whales are also white, as opposed to narwhals are more gray, and bowhead whales are normal whale color. I don't know.
We're so technical.
Browny gray? I don't know. They're not white. Yeah. As a species, belugas are the only ones that are white. They also have a lot of gray on them, and their calves are born gray because they're born in the estuary in the summer, so they blend more into the murky waters of estuaries and rivers, and then they turn white as they grow up. It can take quite a long time, over 20 years, and some of them may still have gray patches, and that's one of the ways that researchers use to identify them.
So very, very good at living in the Arctic. I'm not gonna lie, once upon a time I did write a whole interpretive program about why belugas would in fact be better than reindeer to help Santa
I remember
deliver presents to ocean animals for the holidays. because I'm a big nerd. But those, even though they have many adaptations to help them survive in the Arctic, they also just have many unique adaptations in general compared to other cetaceans. And so we thought that since we all love belugas and we've also all spent a lot of our lives talking about them to other people, that we could share just our favorite non-Arctic living adaptations about belugas, or just our kind of favorite things about them. So does anybody want to go first?
Me.
Okay, go Sarah.
So my favorite thing about belugas is they have flexible lips. So if you look at a beluga face compared to, say, a dolphin face, they have a really rounded rostrum rather than a pointy rostrum, like a snout, basically. And they have flexible lips. And the reason they have flexible lips is so that they can spray water into sand and substrate under the ocean and help to flush out small animals that they can eat that live in the substrate. And it's really fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
They spit and they're awesome.
Yeah, so that's my favorite beluga fact.
It's a good one. This is a really good one.
Who's next?
I will go, but I need some help because I don't remember the full details. But one of my favorite things about belugas, and one of the reasons why they're so adorable, is that they can move their melons back and forth, which is a thing that other cetaceans can't really do. And Nick, do you want to tell me why? It's something to do with echolocation.
Yeah, from what I remember, and this is going to be very non-scientific as an explanation, basically, if you think about the Arctic and where these animals live, narwhals can do this as well. So this is a feature of belugas and narwhals, which are the two toothed whales that live in the Arctic. To my knowledge, bowheads cannot, but we also don't necessarily know or understand how baleen whales navigate in dark waters anyways, and whether they echolocate. That's all up for debate.
That's a whole other story.
Not what we're talking about here. So if you think about the Arctic in ocean environment, and remember the fact that for really like 5.5, 6 months of the year, it's pitch black. So it's the ocean is dark already, but when you factor in the fact that for much of half of the year, there's also significantly less sunlight than you would see in a lot of the other ocean areas, it's thought, this is one of the hypotheses anyway, that just the need to echolocate is greater in the Arctic. And so if you think about sort of the physiology of the melon area, which is where, every toothed whale has a melon, but it seems to be less flexible than those of the narwhal and beluga. So when Lindsay's talking about them being able to shake their melon, they can just change effectively the shape of their forehead, which is where their melon is.
It makes it really cool because they just, it changes their facial expression, and it's just like, if you think about a whale and it's just got this crazy actual melon shaped thing, there's a reason why it's called a melon, and it just is moving back and forth on their head, and then it's just ridiculous. It's a ridiculous thing to see.
So it could be that evolved because just the need for echolocation is greater, but it also could be sort of a byproduct of the fact that both belugas and narwhals are just so much more blubbery than other cetaceans. And so, if you think about a bottlenose dolphin, they are super streamlined, tough, like their skin is soft, but it's very, like there's not, if you were to press it with your thumb, there's not a lot of give to a dolphin's skin, whereas a beluga, as we have said, is squishy.
It's squishy.
I wonder too, like, do other whales, like, on the inside they're doing stuff like the same activity that a beluga is, but you just can't see it the same way? I don't know.
That's at least it's thought that certainly, every cetacean that's echolocating is certainly moving their melon to focus the beams of, we should say, this has to do with echolocation because the beams of sound that make the echoes that then bounce off things and come back to the echolocating animal, those sounds are created in the blowhole area, but then focused through the melon or forehead region of any toothed whale that's doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say toothed whales, I mean dolphins and porpoises too. And then those sounds go out through the melon. When they come back, they actually go through the lower jaw, which then filters right into the internal ear. So if you think about echolocation, yes, it has to do with making sound and hearing that echoes of that sound, but all of the physiology going on there is so completely different from just humans making sound, usually with our mouths and then listening with our ears.
Mm-hmm. Totally. It's so crazy.
So crazy.
And then one just not fun fact that I want to bring up is that the song is wrong, and beluga calves or baby belugas are gray. And yes. I think that we should just put this message out into the world and start teaching your children the correct thing. And then together we can change the world.
Yes, you could do what we have done in our house. Because, you know, someone out there who thought they were funny for my baby shower for our yet unborn son at the time gave me Baby Beluga. And I have maybe heard that song more than I ever need to, so I don't need the book.
More than I've ever heard the song, any other song of my life.
Yeah. But as it turns out, James, my son, actually really does love the Baby Beluga book. And so I change the words to that book every time that I read it. A little gray whale on the go. But also there's a part in the first verse that says, "Is the water warm?" And that's not, belugas don't live in warm water. That's dumb.
Yeah.
So it's, "Is the water cold? Is your mama home with you so happy?"
See, everything still scans. It's great.
It does.
Yeah, it totally works.
And the gray and white doesn't affect the rhyme scheme either. But what I've done now, because I'm not the only person who reads to my son, and he frequently wants people to read him that book, I've actually taken a Sharpie to the book.
Nice.
So that he's not getting mixed messages. So, you know, educate the masses, people.
Anyway, sorry. That was my tangent. I just had to stick that in there. Nick, do you want to tell us a fun fact?
So I've already talked about the sounds already, and I mean, just if you want to have a good laugh and warm, fuzzy feelings, you can YouTube, and maybe we'll include some of these in the show notes as well. They're not in there now, but we can look for them. Just YouTube belugas making noise, and it's just, there's so many different noises that they can make, and it's really, really cool to listen to. But I think in addition to that, because it's just so random, one of my other favorite things about belugas is that they seem to really enjoy pushing things around on their head. So in the Arctic, belugas have been seen pushing not just, you know, logs and other debris around with their melons for no apparent reason other than just because it must be fun, but actual antlers of reindeer, real true caribou reindeer, that have molted off, because this is a natural thing that happens. It's not like something necessarily bad happened to the poor reindeer. But yeah, they've been seen pushing caribou antlers around on their head. Just 'cause.
It's incredible.
I think that's awesome. They're curious and fun and really, really awesome. Yeah. So thanks for listening to some of our favorite things about belugas. We know that we didn't dive into a lot of the science or research, and there is some really, really fascinating research going on with this species. But like we said, we wanted to keep it light for the holidays, and it just gives us more opportunities to talk about one of our favorite cetaceans in the future.
So now we're going to move on to the fun flipper fact.
It's time for Fun Flipper Fact, yeah! Everybody ready? Everybody settle in. Grab your hot chocolate. I'm going to tell you a story. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through BC, lots of creatures were swimming and jumping at sea. The waves were all breaking ashore without care, and sea lions roared, so you'd know they were there. Sea otters were nestled all snug in kelp beds, while decorator crabs put new hats on their heads. The humpbacks were singing and headed down south, and the octopuses were searching for food for their mouths. When out in the water there arose such a racket, the lighthouse keeper rushed outside with her jacket. She looked high and low to see what was the cause of the noises she'd heard. Was it flippers or paws? The moon on the crest of the slow-rolling waves shone bright on the edge of the small island caves, when what to her wondering eyes should appear but a startling number of dolphins, quite clear. They were gray with white stripes, they were lively and quick, and the vocals they made were all squeals and clicks. More rapid than eagles, the dolphins they came. She whistled and shouted and called them by name. These dolphins have not been seen here for so long, I must check my books in case I am wrong. But I truly believe what I'm seeing tonight is the return of Pacific white-sided dolphins. All right.
Yay!
Thanks for letting me share my poem.
Did you want to explain it? Oh.
I mean, I could just leave it there and let everybody be very, very curious about what has happened. But yes, the reason for this poem comes from a story that we were told by a researcher that we all know, Dr. Lance Barrett-Leonard, about the sort of rediscovery of Pacific white-sided dolphins here off the coast of British Columbia, which happened in 1984. So Pacific white-sided dolphins had been frequent visitors here along the coast prior to the 1980s. We know this primarily from archaeological discoveries in ancient indigenous middens, which are indigenous sites where you can find numerous relics from their time there. And Pacific white-sided dolphin teeth were found in these middens and dated to over 3,000 years. So they've certainly been a companion along the coast here for a very long time. But something happened, and no one can really agree what, that at least for most of the 1900s prior to the 1980s, they were not seen with any degree of frequency along the coast. So when a lighthouse keeper on Christmas Eve, that is a true part of the story, a lighthouse keeper on Christmas Eve saw a huge pod of 100 to 200 Pacific white-sided dolphins show up. This was coupled with a number of other sort of undocumented reports that had gone on for the fishing community for the last couple of months that the Pacific white-sided dolphins had returned kind of out of nowhere, and no one really knew why, and they've stuck around ever since, and they are certainly not the most common sighted cetacean in British Columbia, but they are definitely seen very regularly. It's certainly one of my favorite experiences when I've had the opportunity to see Pacific white-sided dolphins off the coast of BC. I did once disrupt the captain's dinner on an Alaskan cruise with my parents, because outside the window I saw a pod of dolphins, and in a really fancy formal dress at a captain's dinner ball, I just shouted in the middle of the course, "Dolphins!" and ran to the window. So I maybe like them a lot. And then when I heard the story about the Christmas Eve rediscovery along the coast, it has always stuck with me as a great story and a really cool, fun flipper fact. So I wanted to treat everybody not just to the story in honor of Christmas, but also my poem because I'm a nerd.
I like it. And you can also read the story about Nicole disrupting a cruise under her storyteller category on our website.
That's right. Anytime you're with me and we're on the water, you're never gonna not know that there are dolphins there.
True story.
Yeah.
So we're moving on to our whale tale portion of this episode. We do have a very special recording from one of our friends, Chantel, when she went and, well, I'm not going to tell you. You're just going to have to listen. Yeah, so here, take a listen.
Hi, I'm Chantel.
And I'm Mark.
And we're going to talk about an amazing experience we had with beluga whales in the summer of 2015 in Churchill, Manitoba.
We were lucky enough to be able to go up in early August, which was right in the beluga calving season, where there was a huge population of belugas present around Churchill. And one of the experiences that we took was a short kayak out onto the water where the belugas were very interactive with us.
Yeah, and we were kind of mindful of the fact that this is something that maybe, I don't know what to call you guys, the whale science community wouldn't be very supportive of, getting close to these creatures in the wild. And so we tried to keep our distance and just watch from afar, but really the belugas were having none of that. They're extremely curious and playful.
Yeah, they kept coming up to the kayaks and splashing us and bumping the kayaks. I honestly still think about that trip and how incredible it was. And how lucky we are.
Yeah, they were so interactive, and they really, really were curious about the boats. It was also just an amazing time in our north, and the sun is kind of setting. It was just a beautiful evening. I'd say that that experience, regardless of kind of what the opinion is of those types of experiences, left us feeling quite connected to belugas and even to their conservation, to the point now where we have recently had a daughter and her goodnight song is Baby Beluga.
Yeah, and we definitely know to correct it from little white whale to little gray whale.
Yeah, so we're super grateful for that experience. It was pretty epic.
It was wonderful.
The end.
So I'm so jealous.
I'm so jealous. That story is just the best ever.
I'm so jealous for so many reasons.
Yeah.
Someday.
Yeah.
Someday,
definitely. So we do have 3 total beluga stories on our website, this one included. We'll post a link to this one so you can see the amazing video on our social media, so keep an eye out for that. And you can also look at all 3 of them in our beluga category on our website. But if you have other beluga stories or narwhal, because we have 0 narwhal stories, please do let us know. You can send us lots of different ways, including voice memos. So if you want to record something just like Chantel did just now,
no excuses. It's super easy, and we'd love to hear your story and your voice.
Slight change from belugas, but still on that wintry theme. I don't know about you guys, but at this time of year, I feel like there's always an excuse for a party. We got Christmas, we got New Year's, we got office parties, we've got birthdays. All 3 of us have birthdays within the next month. So there's just always an excuse for a party. And we thought we would talk about ways to have more sustainable parties. So my idea is something that is takes a little bit of advanced preparation, but is actually, I think, pretty fun. And that is to thrift or borrow dishes. So if you need extra plates or cups or mugs or
forks,
serving utensils or forks or whatever, you can always, that kind of stuff is always at the thrift store. You might get some weird, fun things, but, you're not super worried about it. Or you can, ask your neighbors, ask your family members. Growing up, my parents had a pretty, decent amount of wine glasses, maybe, probably a dozen of them. And then my dad's aunt and uncle every year on New Year's Day would have an open house. And so they coincidentally had the same wine glasses as my mom and dad. I don't think coincidentally, I think it was their wedding present from my aunt and uncle. And they're really great wine glasses. They're super sturdy ones. And so every year on New Year's Day, as part of going to my aunt and uncle's, we would take our wine glasses in a box and then bring some home. And it was super handy because you didn't have to figure out whose were whose. We just brought home the same number that we took.
Were they the same ones you still have?
Yeah, those sort of chunky.
Yeah, I like those wine glasses.
Yeah, they're really great.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's what we always did. And now my parents actually, they ended up just buying a box of wine glasses that were on clearance somewhere or really cheap. So they just have an extra non-matching, just sort of generic looking wine glasses, but they just have an extra box of them. So if you ever need wine glasses, talk to my mom and dad. Who wants to go next?
I will go next. So one thing that might be a little bit different than what you would expect us to say about sustainable parties or anything like that is actually clothing. So something that comes to mind sometimes when you're getting ready for parties, especially New Year's, is buying a new fancy dress, or if you wear dresses. And I'm never going to deny anyone that because I like to buy new dresses, but something that you can do, rewear dresses is something great, and it also helps just keep fast fashion from taking over, is to rewear stuff and also to borrow stuff, similar to wine glasses. If you're lucky enough to have 2 best friends who are the same size as you, you can wear lots of different dresses and lots of different outfits, and there's lots of different ways to just change up your outfit if that's something that you need to do. But just something to keep in mind, you don't need a new dress if you want to wear it just for New Year's. That's 6 hours. Maybe buy yourself something that's a little bit more long-lasting, maybe a really nice pair of earrings or something. Or borrow a dress from your friend because you want to. You've had your eye on that dress. Yeah.
Or thrifting is another good option.
Yeah, totally.
If you're into that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Nicole, what's your thought?
Well, I think this is both a sustainability call to action and also sort of a have a safe New Year's call to action. If you are of age to participate in the adult beverage consumption portion of a New Year's or any kind of party, then it's important to think about yourself and your safety and the safety of other people around you, but also the environment when it comes to planning how you're going to get to and from your various parties. So the easiest way to indulge in adult beverages and be safe and also mindful of the planet is to try and get a large group of people together to either carpool or, you know, splurge for a limo.
Yeah.
That's a fun way to celebrate a party. And surprisingly, if there's enough people, not more expensive than a cab and much more reliable.
Yep. And it's, yeah, a lot of limos or town cars are way cheaper than you expect them to be.
Yeah.
And then you'd feel like a baller for that party. And you would be actually helping the environment instead of everybody trying to get there on their own in some way. And you're also, you know, being safe, which is really, really important for any party. And some of you may live in places where it's, you know, really easy to take transit, which is obviously the best thing you can do for the environment for your various party needs. But we're also mindful of the fact that a lot of places actually don't have great transit systems, especially around the holidays. So if you don't happen to live somewhere where there's transit, perhaps you can again look at having somebody in your group of friends be the DD. And, you know, if somebody has volunteered to be the DD for a party, you should treat that person so well. Give them the nice dress or suit in your closet. Let them go shopping in your closet for that night.
Yeah.
Maybe the rest of you, everybody that person is driving safely and helping the environment for, you know, chip in to get them like an extra course at the dinner that night or a bottle of wine to use at a later party. But, you know, that is definitely an option as well. And then you'll feel great the next day.
So I think this brings us to the end of our episode. As always, we have the What You Can Do page link in our show notes, so you can find it on our website under the Tales of Saving Whales category. And it's just a really great list of small things that you can do every day to help cetaceans and marine life and the planet that is not holiday themed. But feel free to incorporate any of these suggestions into your holiday.
You can also find all of our information on our website, whale-tales.org, including links to our merch, which make great holiday gifts. If you're looking for last-minute gift ideas, I don't necessarily know that they'd get to you in time for the holidays, but, you know, belated gifts are also great, too. You can also find a link to our Patreon there. As we said at the top of the show, we are so grateful to our patrons for believing in us and our dream of this podcast, and we couldn't do it without your help. So thank you very, very much. And if you'd like to learn more about the perks of becoming a patron of ours, you can learn about that by clicking on the link in our website. And you can also subscribe to this podcast. If you've just found this episode randomly, well, welcome to Whale Tales, but you can subscribe to our podcast, and you can also read over 700 whale, dolphin, and porpoise stories right there on our website.
Also on our website is sort of the main reason that we exist. You can share your stories. Remember, it's not a big deal, it's not scary, and you don't have to be an expert. If you've seen a cetacean, we would love to hear your story, and we would love to add it to our library. So click the share link on our site, contact us on social media at whaleTales.org, or email us a voice memo and tell us all about your incredible cetacean encounter.
Yeah, especially if it's a narwhal, because I don't have that one crossed off yet.
On our cetacean bingo.
Yeah. So that is whale-tales.org. Tales like the stories, not tales like the animal.
Thank you again for listening and for supporting us. We will be back on the last Wednesday of next month with more fun facts, stories, and super nerdy trivia that Nicole has researched for us.
It probably won't rhyme, though.
Probably not.
No, probably not. Thanks, everybody, and have a whaley great day.
Yay!
Bye.
Happy holidays!
Bye.
Happy holidays!